right, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another Hashtag United video. It's time to get into TST mode. We're going back to North Carolina for the third time in 3 years, this time to win the $1 million. I mean, I say that, we went there to win the million the first 2 times. It just didn't quite work out. But we have got a video today explaining our full strategy, and it is a different strategy this year. It's definitely the biggest deviation in strategy we've had since playing in TST. I've got the gaffer, Jay Devereaux, with me to talk through what we're thinking, why we're doing it, all with the intention of going further and trying to get our hands on that $1 million. And imagine what a summer it would be, because we are in the midst of an investment raise. As you're watching this video, there'll be just a few days away from that raise going from pre-reg phase to open, ready for business. You can invest your money in hashtag phase, just a few days away. So, good investment, win TST, everything's coming up Millhouse. See you in the Premier League, ladies and gents. One step at a time, though. One step at a time. So, Devs, lots to talk about today. Obviously, this is an opportunity for everyone to understand what we're doing at TST. And there's a lot of differences, both in footballing and like squad decisions, but also in content. Yep. So from your guys' perspective, what you're going to see this year, as well as this and all the stuff we've been putting on socials, and if you've been plugged in, you'd have seen that we've started to announce our squad already. You're going to see a pre-tournament documentary that we've been working on since the start of the year. It's going to show all the training and trial episodes we've done, and we started them earlier than ever before this year. We had our first session in January this year. You're going to see that. You're going to see the various moments in the journey of us building our squad so far, and there has been some peaks and troughs, I would say, and we're going to get into that today. Then you're going to see, obviously, all the content from TST, which will be a lot of stuff on social media, the live streams, either on the TST website. We have got one group game on ESPN this year as well, and hopefully more subsequent games in the knockout rounds. So we'll be pointing you in the direction of them, and we'll talk about those games today as well. And then you're going to see a post-tournament documentary from everything that happened at TST, like a feature-length one that we're really looking forward to. Different approach, and you'll come along for the ride and see everything from behind the scenes to highlights to all the fun and games that we have in America. So content is a different approach. Let's talk about the football approach. First of all, Devs, what did we learn from the first 2 years? You know, we're quite lucky in getting to go to a third one of this. There's only a handful of teams that have played all 3. So we've got some intel. What have we picked up?
Well, I think the main thing is that what we've lacked in the last 2 years is that small-sided game know-how. We kind of suspected that might be the case. We had a good run in the first year, but I think that was probably off the back of the team spirit of a team that just won the league. Yeah. And equally, it was new for everyone, and there were a lot of teams out there kind of finding their way, and a lot of with a football. Just pure kind of traditional football approach to it. Blood and guts, blood and thunder. Yeah, like some real good. I think in particular of our game against Conrad and Beasley, and they've seen our quick goal. It was a really good game, competitive game, but probably not played in the same way a lot of the more technical teams.
It was a lot of 11-a-side players on both teams, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that worked quite well for us, and to the point where we went out narrowly again to an 11-a-side team in Como. But last year, you noticed the step up in terms of the technical side of it and the small-sided specialists coming through. I still think it's a hybrid. I still think you need a bit of both. I think a pure small-sided, futsal type team wouldn't necessarily go deep without some football element to them. So that's what we tried to do. We've changed it up a little bit this year, haven't we?
And also small-sided. Like, what does it even mean? Because you've got 5-a-side, you've got cage football, which is really tight. You've got 6-a-side, 7-a-side. You've got all these different formats, different pitches.
Indoor, outdoor.
Exactly. And TST is a very specific kind. It's outdoor, it's played on grass pitches or sort of hybrid pitches. And
quite big pitches
as
well.
Big pitches, big goals as well.
Yeah.
So very different to, say, a futsal. But, of course, the format of TST, particularly that target score time at the end, as the game gets smaller, then does lead itself more to small-sided players. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think first year we went 11-a-side approach. There was 32 teams. Second year, obviously, the field got bigger, 48 teams, and we saw more of those teams take a small-sided approach, I'd say. Even teams like Nani FC and Luis Nani and Bruno Alves, they brought the likes of Ricardinho with them to have. He's one of the world's most famous futsal players. To know, and they ended up going deep, got to the final, of course. It's worth saying last year, when we got knocked out first knockout round, again, same as the year before, but last year we did lose to the first year's winners. And,
and semi-finalists last year, I think.
Yes, they went deep this year, last year as well, and they, they were very good at what they do, very good and very frustrating to play against. But ultimately, we were in the game. Like, you know, we had 2 errors, really, didn't we, in game time that cost us the 2 goals. That meant we went into TST 2-0 down. We had an own goal, and then we had a mistake that gave the ball away at the back. So it was not out of our grasp to get through there. And who knows what would have happened after then. But you're totally right. We're very lucky that we get to keep going to TST every year. We don't want to make this, not to say make the same mistakes twice, but we don't want to not learn from.
And if we're going to make mistakes, let's do it trying something different, right?
Yes, yeah. I think we've tried to sort of purely take as many first team squad as we can approach. So this year we didn't offer as many spots to first team players. It's worth pointing out. I'm sure there's some guys in there that were disappointed. It's also worth saying there's a lot of them were unavailable.
Yep.
A lot of them have been once or twice before. Really important to say, when you've just done basically 60 game season, you tend to make plans for your summer holidays because they're very short. And a lot of these guys want to have some time with their partners and all these sorts of things. So it's not as simple as...
their work commitments as well.
Yeah.
It's not like they save their holidays for the off season, but they're still going to work every day. So it's tough for them, and it's quite a grueling schedule. So
yeah, it is.
Not complaining because it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
No, but it's certainly not a holiday,
see,
is it?
But no, and you can certainly see why some of the guys have said I've done it once or twice now. Let somebody else have a go because I'll be in trouble indoors.
Exactly, and I think there's a couple boys that we would like to have with us from the first team, but there's also it's a genuine strategy change where we just didn't make the amount of spots available. So what we did is we started doing these trial sessions. You're going to see a lot of these highlights in this documentary coming up. Started it quite early, used a few connections we've got, particularly Demar, who came with us last year, was one of our goalkeepers last year, but as the very experienced in futsal coach, involved in the women's and men's scene in England. And as the tournament progressed, we realised that he actually had quite a lot of ideas and theories, particularly on the TST part of the game. And we started to dive into them, but quite late in the day, I'd say. And we thought, you know what, there could be something that we could do there. So we leaned on him a little bit, leaned on a few other contacts, started to offer opportunities for players to come and trial again. And it was all going pretty well. I'd say we had some good sessions. I mean, some players that you guys will love to see in these sessions, like Jesse Waller-Lasson was even one of them who started to come and he expressed an interest in coming with us to TST. Then there was a little bit of a spanner in the works, which was something called the Baller League. So the Baller League came to town, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. And as it's also kind of a different, but a competitor to TST, there's a lot of players that wanted to do that as well. And the schedule clashes a little bit. The last week of league fixtures takes place the day that you really need to leave for TST in order to not have any sort of jet lag. Like there's a couple of players that are coming out the day after, but generally it's very difficult. And then at one point, the actual final Baller League was the same day as the TST final in America. They've now moved that for a number of reasons. I think they're playing it at the O2. Yeah. But it opened up a few opportunities. But it meant a lot of players had to rule themselves out of the process that we'd started to trial. What we definitely wanted to do is last year we obviously had a trial process quite late. We ended up taking Demar from that trial process. We got a little bit of criticism for not taking more. Now, we did offer a spot to another player. We didn't. Yeah, a couple of other players actually, didn't we? And it didn't really get talked about at the time. They didn't take them. So what we didn't want to then do is just offer other spots to people that we hadn't chosen. So we took a keeper. But this year we said, look, we've got to take a couple guys from these trials. And then halfway through, suddenly half the players we wanted to take ruled themselves out. So it was a bit frustrating. And we have had to pivot and change strategy to doing something a little bit different that we're going to reveal in this video, which we're quite excited about. Before we get into all that, let's talk about the spots we have handed out. Starting off with our current first teamers and lads who have come to TST before with us. So Matty Waldridge is come. And there was a moment we thought he wouldn't be able to come for scheduling reasons. We managed to get him there, which I'm really happy about. I think he's been one of our standout players the last 2 years. Yeah,
he seems to find it the transition quite natural, doesn't he? I think he keeps telling me he's our top scorer out there, but I think he is including the own goal against Newtown.
I think he might be level with PK.
I think that's why he's including the Newtown goal. But yeah, no, Matt be going out there. Obviously, he's our highest appearance maker in the club as well. So that kind of, it makes sense to have Matt with us out in TST.
Scored arguably the best goal we've scored at TST as well. There's some other contenders there. So really happy to have him. Harry Haysom, another player that's been 2 years in a row. He's there defensively, very important.
Yeah, and again, another one who's second highest appearance maker at the club. So, got that history with us as a group. And yeah, we know what H brings. He knows he's comfortable with the ball. He's been out there a couple of years now, so he knows the format. Yes, very very similar to Matt, I'd say. It's just feel like that's basis of some of the boys coming with us has been around. Longevity at the club and how long they've been with us, and our longest serving players, if you like. So,
and that goes on to the next player who's also a living legend at the Tags. Just recently got himself into the all-time 11, maybe overdue. Toby Romalaran, he's with us as well.
Yeah, and obviously Tobes brings a different element as well in terms of his profile, because I think that's important to recognise that in terms of TST want to see
big names
out there, and Toby's got quite a long surname.
Yeah, I mean, literally a big name, like myself. But the by that I meant my surname, by the way. I'm not saying I'm a big name, although some would say I am.
You have to put two together though, didn't you, to make it
true.
name.
I need a hyphen.
Yeah.
The added up number of followers and subscribers and things at TST must be crazy, because some of the names they have there is mad.
If you add mine and Toby's together, it's pretty good.
But I mean, by all accounts, we've seen some big names there again. We should talk about who else is going in terms of other teams. I think Pat McAfee's going to be there again. You've got Lewis Nanny there again. The Aguero team there again. Some big football clubs, obviously, of course, as well. So it's always a show. It gets bigger every year. We're happy to have those boys with us. Luke May Parrott as well. He wasn't with us in the first season, didn't play for us at the time, but obviously came last year. Got a goal, I think, out there. Maybe two, can't quite remember. Definitely one. And he's back.
And he's hindered a little bit last year because obviously he was carrying an injury that we didn't quite know about. He thought it was just, aches at the time, but then we realised the severity of it when we got back. So, yeah, Luke, hopefully, he's got fitter as the season's gone on, finished the season really well, ended up with, Young Player of the Year as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see his kind of sharpness in TST that he probably didn't feel he was able to bring last year. So, yeah, almost like he's experienced it, but really probably feels like he can give it his best shot this year.
Yeah, and we've actually got our last 4 winners of the Young Player of the Year award with us, because Matty won 2 in a row and then Luke won 2 in a row. And then finally, in terms of returning players, he's not a first teamer, but he's someone associated with hashtag. I mentioned him earlier, is Demar. So Demar coming again as a goalkeeper option, helping us out pre-tournament and in tournament on the sort of coaching side as well. He's been really useful, hasn't he?
Yeah, really, really useful. Obviously, we'll use Demar as our second option goalkeeper, but he's proved really valuable in terms of recruitment, in terms of ideas. He's stayed in touch since last year.
Came to a lot of games this season.
Come to a lot of our games. Knows the boys. Popular, really, really, popular lad to have around as well. Good personality and character. So yeah, Demar's been really, really useful to us. Yeah.
And finally, the last player who's come before and he's coming again, I think you guys will like this one, PK Humble. Obviously playing in the Baller Leagues, been scoring some goals, doing pretty well for Angry Ginger's team, United. We talked a little bit about that. I mean, that one particular game he had at TST against Jimmy Conrad's team. He scored 4 goals. Was it 3 or 4? I think it might have been 4.
Oh, it might have been 4.
It was a heck of a performance, yeah. And would you say he's someone that's suited to the format?
I think he's proved that he's suited to the format in the past, and I think he's looked pretty handy at the Baller League stuff as well. So hopefully that's giving him a good kind of run up to TST. He was lacking a little bit of fitness from an 11-side perspective, and he knows he's got some work to do. But equally, the personality he brings as well. He's just,
perfect for TST, like we said, and Baller League. Like it fits the bill, and because he hasn't had a full season, a bit like Luke, maybe he's got that little bit of energy left in him that some of the boys might be feeling a bit jaded. He shouldn't be.
He certainly makes me feel jaded. It's about.
Yeah, so good to have PK. So that's 6 players. Let's talk about some other players that come with us that haven't necessarily played 11-side for us, although one has, and that's Camilo Restrepo. So obviously Camilo's time with the first team squad, he didn't finish the season with us. He moved on halfway through, but as soon as he did do that, we expressed a wish to take him to TST and said, because obviously he's got great TST credentials, really good in his futsal journey, also playing Baller League at the moment for Sharky's team. And we said, Camilo, look, regardless of what's happening 11-a-side, we'd love to offer you a spot on the plane. And he took it.
Yeah, and I think, it's proof that when you're looking in from the outside and decisions get made, you can sometimes, you're not quite sure what goes on, but I think that's kind of evidence that decisions get made sometimes and they're not personal.
Yeah.
And that is clearly the case with Camilo, someone we love, very fond of. And I thought he was probably if not our best, one of our best players out there last year, and it feels like a bit of a no-brainer to invite him back with us, and delighted that he's agreed to come with us again. And that we talk about that hybrid, that tournament being a hybrid. Camilo is almost like the perfect hybrid of a 11-a-side and small-sided footballer. He's got the know-how of football, and also the know-how of the small-sided stuff. So
he's got the fast feet, but he's also got the physicality. He's a big lad, Yeah, and also just shout out to Camilo, really, because it'd been easy in his position to not accept that and go with someone else, but he's loyal to Hashtag in many ways, and he said he wanted to come with us, and we said we'd love to have you. So
we've still got a good relationship with Camilo. So.
Yeah, really looking forward to have you with us, Camilo. Right, next up, Tyreek Hyde. So Tyreek Hyde, someone that's sort of been in and around the clubs, very good friends with the likes of Toby. He's got a channel now with PK and Specs called Step Brothers, obviously in the creator space. What some people may not know about him is way before his Love Island stuff, a little bit like Toby, very good footballer.
Yes.
Someone that we've looked at before. We had his brother at the club, didn't we?
We did.
Mackay, a few years ago. But talk to me about Tyreek as an entity, as a footballer, and what we expect from him at TST.
Well, he's a powerful midfielder, strong runner, good technique, good personality. He's in terms of his football approach, he's got a professional approach to his football. He's been getting himself fit and been training with us most of the season, actually, when he was, not able to commit to football, but still wanted to, keep his kind of eye in with it. So the boys know him. He's popular with the lads. I think he'll be good to have around, and he's someone that can offer a little bit of versatility to us as well on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember watching him play a reserve game for us in the season, been very impressed. I know he was out of practice at the time, but clearly I actually saw him play recently. I was working on something called the Emirates 5 at St George's Park, and he played in that with the likes of Misha and Darren Foxley as well. So and he's a big lad, isn't he? He's a big, powerful lad. Yeah. So good to have Tyreek with us. Next up, so we talked about those trials. There's a couple of spoilers in here. Still need to make sure you watch that pre-tournament documentary, because there's loads of stuff in there. But one person we've offered a spot from those trials, who Demar brought in, who comes very well recommended, part of the England futsal system. It's obviously played internationally, as well as one of the best clubs in England, Liam Freeman. So I think he was on our radar last year. We were talking about him certainly, but this year we got to know him a bit better. Good character, good player. Yeah,
say England futsal international, understands. I think particularly what's important is the things where we find ourselves lacking is, when we move into that target score time and the games get even more strategic, and the small decided stuff, and when you bring in like the idea of fly goalkeepers, having that additional outfield player in there, Liam's someone who will be able to control the tempo of the game in possession, and good know-how around how to play that format.
And when we do these trials as well, we get limited time, obviously, and football is an opinion game. Everyone's got a different one. But what I liked about Liam in the limited time we had with him was his enthusiasm and his clear desire to be there. I mean, I think at one point he'd played an international game for England. He got back, played for us in a trial, then he had to go somewhere else for another game, and he was just making it a priority. And when you're going away in another country and you have that sort of condensed time, you've said it before, because you're going like to the site, playing a game, back to the hotel, back to the site. Sometimes it feels like 2 or 3 days in one day. Yeah. You want good characters, and I think he's going to fit in with what we do really well. A couple of other names to mention here. So Stuart Cook. Talk to me about Stuart Cook, who's going to come with us.
So Stuart's coming, obviously, as a player. Stuart, England futsal international and captain, highly valued and well-renowned in the futsal circuit. Also had a long established career at the top levels of non-league football. Yeah. So knows that that small-sided format as well as the traditional format. Has previous TST experience, was out there last year playing for one of our opponents this year. He played for Pasha Luxury, as well, I formerly know as Sire,
Stephen Ireland's team.
So and the added benefit of having Stuart as well is he's also a coach, and he will help us with the with our preparation, with our strategy. He's going to provide valuable insights off the pitch as well as on the pitch. So, I think Stuart's a really big addition for us.
Agreed. So obviously Stuart is a striker, I think, by trade, but he can play in different positions.
Yeah, and I think at this format he's probably more likely to be used at the back and kind of dictate the tempo and the organisation of us.
Yeah, and we've got players like Tyreek. Again, you could play him in a number of different positions on this pitch. And we're trying to find that balance. Someone else we've brought in to bolster the defensive options, a lad called Jamie Brooker. What can you tell me about
Jamie
him?
can play advanced as well. Jamie, young player, had been really impressive in the trials. Was out there last year as well and did really well. So he's got that experience of having been out there. I think he might be, if he's not the youngest player going out there, he'll certainly be one of the youngest. Lots of energy. Very Matty-like in terms of the amount of ground he covers, and that's going to be important because it's, as I say, you've got to be able to run to be out there. You know, there's lots of turn. He's high intensity, short bursts, and I think Jamie's gonna be really good for us.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And then finally, we did it last year with our goalkeeper, Philip.
Phil.
We look, because obviously it's an America tournament, and there's I would say pluses and negatives to being a UK team going over there. You know, most of the teams are US based, but there's a lot coming from all over the shop. The pluses would be that we have less people from this part of the world going. So maybe if you're trying to recruit a team in America, there's a lot of options for you. So maybe we have a little bit of a recruitment advantage, although I do think that Baller League made that much harder this year. The negatives would probably...
We've got a few teams from this way as well.
Yeah, we do.
There, haven't we?
Yeah, and some big teams. And I think the negatives would probably be the time difference. And we're going to get onto that later, talking about our kickoff times and things. Like, we don't have a lot of time to get accustomed. We can't be out there for a week before and stuff. So that is a challenge. So what we do always look out for is opportunities to sign local talent, because it saves us some money, first and foremost, but also people that are going to be acclimatized and know that. And we've got one in Alejandro Martinez, who's going to be joining us. He's a New York-based player. What do we know about him?
Really skillful, technical, understands the small-sided format. I think is going to be, a bit of a X factor for us, something different.
Yeah, I can tell you a bit more about him. 24. I think he's 11-a-side wise. He's like a winger. He's Spanish and American nationality. This is the interesting bit. He was part of Atletico Madrid's academy before moving to USA, and he's twice been nominee for Player of the Year, runner-up as well, Rookie of the Week in the NJAC division. So these are kind of like American institutions he's been part of. But yeah, just he's done a little bit in his career so far, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can bring. Yeah. Like you said, we like having a bit of a wild card as well.
Yeah. We know we're taking some risks this year, aren't we? And I think we feel like we've done the same thing twice, and now it's time for something new. Yeah,
and that does present itself even more so in the announcement we're going to do in a minute. But before we get into that, I just want to say a couple of things on players that aren't going. So like I said, we offered it to a few boys in the first team as well that couldn't come for their own reasons. Absolutely fine, respect that. There's one particular one I wanted to talk about before I get on to one big announcement of a player that's coming and then our new plan for the squad. So you're going to see Zach Hassan at TST. You're not going to see him playing for Hashtag, which... it's a sort of a bit of a frustrating one, if I'm honest. We wish everyone the best. We've done the announcement on Instagram. You've seen that he's moving on now, and we generally wish him the best in his career. Got a lot of belief in his ability, and I'm sure he can go on very far indeed. Unfortunately, you're going to see Zach play for someone else this summer, and it's because of some poor communication, if I'm honest, from the player. We offered him a spot as we did last year. He couldn't go last year. International duty, understandably. This year, we were told that was the same case. It didn't happen. There's international duty. Then it was a Baller League clash, and there's just been very poor communication. It was made apparent to us probably quite near the end of the season that Sack wasn't going to stay next year. We did offer him terms to stay, just to be completely transparent, which he rejected. Again, being even more transparent, we offered him those terms because he's on a contract, or he was on a contract, and by offering him terms to stay, we ensure that we get compensation when he leaves. Ultimately, it was very avoidable. It would have been nice to have a little send-off, Sack playing for us at TST. A bit like we had with Jermaine Francis a couple of years ago. We knew he was leaving, but we took him out there. Great player, did well for us. Sack made that pretty hard for us this year, if I'm honest. But that's my little rant said. We're going to go back to the positive stuff now. So Sack's not going to be playing for Hashtag this year. We wish him the best. Hopefully we don't play against him. And if we do, if he knocks us out, I won't be happy. But other than that, I do genuinely wish him the best. He's a very good player. And he's, again, actually, long-term, going to be, I think, a further proof of concept of our club as a great platform for young players to go on and get those moves. We did it with Josh Asude this year. Obviously, loads of players, men and women's, over the years as well. So that doesn't change. Moving on then. Another player. Now, we talked about players that couldn't come. One of them was Gids, the goalkeeper, who's unavailable. So we needed a keeper. Luckily, we had our friends at Monster Energy. I've got to say a massive thank you to Monster. Obviously sponsored the club this year. We've signed a long-term deal with them. And they have been just honestly amazing trying to find ways they can help us. So we pitched an idea to them. We said, look, maybe you could help us sign some players for TST or help us kind of like take the club forward a little bit in our TST aspirations. And they said, sounds good, let's do it. So thanks to Monster, we've secured a Monster signing in goal. Someone who has played for us at TST before and also had a very, very good year in non-league football this year. Alexis Andre Jr. is back. He spent the season playing for Maidstone, actually lost the playoff final, along with Ben Brooks, actually, to get into the National League. And he was pretty impressive when we had him before, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And obviously we managed to nick him for a couple of games at 11-a-side where he was great for us. I actually think he's just come off of a season where he may have equalled or bettered the clean sheet record in a season for a goalkeeper at National
level.
League South. Yeah,
that's outrageous.
So I think he's had something like 25 clean sheets this season, which is some going.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, someone who the boys will be familiar with because he's been with them before.
Yeah, part of the industry as well, and he's got his creative stuff he does.
Speaks more than one language.
Speaks more than one language. That could be handy as well, as we'll get onto in a minute. But it's worth saying as well. So he's left Maidstone because he's actually signed for a team in Belgium, and we've basically been able to get him in between before he goes to the new Belgian club. And we obviously wish him the best there. Hopefully he can, win us $1 million before he goes. But in terms of, Gids wasn't available looking for a keeper, we couldn't really be more happy with that. He feels that goal. Doesn't he? He's a big lad. And I always really enjoy watching him when he played for us on the 11-a-side as well. He just keeps himself so ready. He's got that bouncing sort of technique. And I've always enjoyed seeing it. I haven't seen it in a lot of keepers the same way he does it. He's just always ready to go. You're not having that? I like it.
What are you doing?
He is. He's always bouncing and ready.
Around your chair.
No, trust me. You'll see it when you watch him. But Alexis is here. Lovely stuff. So that left a few spots available to fill. Oh, one thing worth saying as well, we're taking a full roster this year.
Yeah.
So previously, you can take up to 20, which I know seems a lot for 7-a-side football, which is what TST is. But, it's not really, is it? We've seen teams do full roster changes on pitch, like a new 6-man outfield changed. It's relentless as well.
Yeah, and also in the last couple of years, when we've gone out there, we've lost people to injury almost in the first game.
And there's no time for them to get back.
Pedro last year was one. Then I think the year before, E-Man got injured in his first game. And if that happens with a couple, all of a sudden you're down to, if you find yourself down to like 15 players, which it's just one changeover almost of a side, and that's not enough. It's not enough out there.
No.
And with us trying to do things differently and our approach, we want to be slightly different around our target scores and having specialists around the smaller numbers. I think it's quite important that we go with a full roster. Yeah,
so let's get into that. So we had a load of spots of boys that we probably, in hindsight, would have offered that ended up in the Baller League. So what that meant was at the time, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. That's the phrase, isn't it? One window opens, one door closes. I don't know what the point is. The point is this. At the time, it was frustrating, but actually, it could end up being a very good thing, we hope, because it meant we had a load of spots available. And we dipped into that contact book, into that small-sided speciality area, and we've been able to secure the services of some very highly esteemed international futsal players. These are coming from the French league, but nationally we've got Spanish lads, we've got French lads. Again, the French lads really helped by the fact that Alexis, and by the way, PK Humble, speaks fluent French, I'm told.
Yeah, but I'm told he speaks fluent English as well, and I've not heard it yet.
It's a certain variant of French.
I really wouldn't trust him as a translator.
Jinky Majinky might be French after all.
Well, yeah, might be.
So we've got the ability to communicate with these guys. I mean, they speak English anyway, it's worth saying. But we've got some information on them. Do you want to tell us about the guys we've secured?
So we've got a lad called Ruben Odnes.
Good pronunciation.
I'm guessing at the pronunciation. So he's a professional futsal player from Spain. Spain are one of the top European futsal teams as well. So, he's played at a top level. He plays in, I think it's the top league of French futsal at the moment, AD1 team in France. He's he's like a forward or midfielder, and I think he's one of a few that will form hopefully a specialist element to our team around, bringing them as the numbers get lower and we go into that period of it being real kind of a strategic approach to winning the game.
I know what you're going to say to this, but as someone who grew up playing Football Manager and all these games, these guys just sound good at football, don't they? Raúl Villaverde Cabrera, Spanish as well. Promotion to Division 2 in the Futsal League in Spain. Champion of the Abruzzo Cup in Italia. This just sounds decent. 26 years old, Spanish forward player. Like, this is the kind of calibre we've brought in. The Football Manager regens are here. We've also got Ayoub Boita, which sounds Moroccan. He's French-Moroccan, 26, another forward centre mid, left-footed player, Futsal University French winner. These guys, in terms of the futsal kind of community, which we're learning more and more about all the time, obviously you've got different nations, some are stronger than others, and some play it more as their kind of cultural upbringing in football. England is actually trying to implement it more and more as we progress and almost copy what the Spaniards have been doing so well over the years. But these guys have grown up in that area. I mean, another one we've got Simon Luke Makama. What do you know about him, Dev?
A defender, but can also play as a forward, so he'll bring some physicality to us. He's won a bronze medal at the University World Futsal Championships when he was younger. He's plays for the French national futsal team as well. So, high level of futsal, and has been involved in events kind of that Zidane has run, and
Zidane, like Neymar fives, and these are the sort of things. These are they're different formats maybe, but in terms of the pressure cooker environment,
and the profile, and
they're used to it. And all the good ages, all these players we've talked about so far, they're like sort of 26, mid-20s. Another player that's coming, Mikel de Sa Andrade, French-Portuguese, 29, centre-back, centre-mid, French national champion, French Cup winner. These guys are winners. Let's hopeful they're going to be winners in North Carolina.
Play Champions League futsal. No, play Champions League futsal.
No, Champions League football. That is what you said, and we stand by it. I think Camilo played that as well, did he not? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And then finally, the other spot we've offered is for Daniel Mendy.
Yeah, so Daniel, he's a little bit older, so brings experience to the group. Another one who's been a French futsal champion in the past, can play more than one position on the pitch. Is had played in the Kings League in France as well, so he's got experience of that. You talk about those different formats. Was currently top goal scorer, I think, in the division he plays in. So I think what key were there, we need to talk about the good age, but the experienced players as well that understand the pressure involved in tournament football, but also prize money football. That's quite a
because it changed everything. Everything. That money concept. It's a little bit like, I'm wearing a poker hoodie right now. Like, sport is sport and it's competitive. But when you go into a game or whatever it is, and there's money on the line, or I remember saying to some of the boys before we played Newtown Pride, like, these guys are trying to take money out your pocket, because it's true. Because if we win, everyone wins. And it does create a certain pressure cooker.
And lots of the teams out there, lots of the players out there play money tournaments. It's what they do. It's almost their profession. They go around earning their money by playing in these money tournaments. So having experience, guys that have been used to that type of environment will be really useful for us.
So that is basically our squad. We do have one spot left. Now, we did offer this to someone else in the trials, someone we also offered a spot to last year. I unfortunately can't make it again, this time through injury, which is a really talented futsal player called Lucas Totti. So we've got that spot left. And as we film this, we actually don't know who it's going to be. We have some options, we're having discussions, and we will be announcing it as soon as possible. But that will be our 20th player, and that will be on social media as soon as we can. Let's now look at the actual challenge of TST. We have our groups. The groups have been drawn. We know who we're playing, in what order, at what times. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Because we're flying out on the Monday, 2nd of June. We land. Similar sort of timetable as we've had before. We get a little bit of a day to acclimatise, to work out the time difference, all that stuff. Nothing too strenuous. Little club dinner. Day number 2, we have a training session. We have our media day. We might be having some little friendlies with some other clubs out there. Day number 3 is when the tournament kicks off. Now, there's a lot of games. I get it. There's 48 teams. You've got a very small period of time, ultimately, to run this big tournament in. So they've got games on games on games. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, Devs. You're going to have to tell me what you think. Our first game, US time, on the Wednesday, kicks off at 8:15 a.m. Now, the reality of that means you've got to be on site probably latest of 7 on the actual facility site. You got to get there.
I think it's 2 hours before.
So it might be 6:15, which means you got to get out at probably 5 to get some breakfast in. And I mean, 5 to us will be 10 a.m. English time. So maybe there is a world where we don't try and correct the jet lag too quickly. Like, is an 8 a.m. kickoff better for you than like that time we played at 10 p.m., which was 3 a.m. our time?
I think by the time we played that late, when we were out there, we were almost in that. We didn't know what time it was.
Yeah,
we were just in a routine. So I think if we were going to play that early, to play that early on the first day is probably better than playing that early on the second or third day. That's not to say that won't happen. We know it won't happen on the second day because of the change. Equally, it won't quite be as hot as our first game last year, which was around noontime.
That's true.
So
yeah, that's true.
So there are, but equally, once you're out and you kind of automatically go to US time, it will feel slightly weird. So
yeah. Well, playing at 8 a.m. it doesn't matter if you've climatized or not. It just feels early. It's going to feel early.
Yeah.
And that's against another US team, Tobacco Road, that, you know, I don't know if that'll be better for them or not, playing 8 a.m. if they're a local team. It's an interesting one. But to play Tobacco Road first, that game will be streamed on the TST website. We'll obviously link to that at the time. Play another game that day, 4:30 p.m. So basically like a full 8 hours between the games. 4:30 p.m. being 9:30 p.m. UK time. That game is against Pasha Luxury. That game is on ESPN, right, which is pretty cool. We're getting the broadcast game. And that is a team that's pretty stacked with ex-pros. Stephen Ireland's team, who sort of rebranded from their previous naming. Tom Huddleston, who was, a lot of people was one of their player of the tournament last year. He's just got that technique, hasn't he? Hits the ball like as good as anyone I've seen. Speaking of people that can hit the ball, Bakary Sacco, one of the goals he scored last year, I think that goal is still feeling the effects a year later. He hits it hard. He's got a foot like a traction engine. And then Kieran Clark.
Kieran Clark was playing Baller League.
Doing well in Baller League.
Yeah.
That's a good team.
It is a really, really, really strong team.
And I think no disrespect to the other teams in our group, but that is the game that if you win that, you're in great shape. If you can get through that game, I think. Yeah. Not to say we're going to win the other games, but I'm just saying like that's the team that probably even above us.
I think that'd be the team that everyone would be looking at within that group and saying that's the team, the team to beat.
And I think I'm right in saying everyone in our group, and the only team I haven't named yet is a team called Tactical Manager. Certainly Pasha Luxury and Tobacco Road have played before. Tactical Manager,
I think
a new
Tactical
team?
Manager are new.
They're a new team. Okay, so there's 3 of 4 teams that have played there before. And we play Tactical Manager the following day at 2 p.m, 7 p.m. UK time. What do you think of the group? It's very hard to say. I know there's so many.
It's so difficult because even the same teams that have been there before are different, and we see that in ourselves. We're taking a slightly different approach. You don't know if teams would take a different approach. There's so many factors that come into it. All we do know is it's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's an amazing event to be involved with. I think, we've got the issue of you need to finish top 2 to guarantee going through, but then the best place, 3rd place, as we were last year. So this it means you've got something to play for, regardless of what happens in your first 2 games.
That's true.
It keeps you, interested in all 3 of your group games.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. 3rd time, and your 3rd time as gaffer as well. Do you feel more prepared this year? Do you feel, with no disrespect to our squads before, that we've got a better chance we're in the $1 million?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think we've got a better chance. Well, I say better chance. Is it
the first one's a fair comparison?
When something's a winner takes all tournament, like you've got to finish that having a better chance of something seems really difficult to measure. I think any team going in, even teams that have won it before, to say, to say you're going to win something is when the competition is so great, is really difficult to measure. I do feel that by the time we get out there and we go, we will be better prepared than we have before. We'll be better prepared for certain scenarios that we're going to have to be better at.
TST is such a crucial part of it, isn't it? We've seen teams like, go from being 3-0 down to win in TST because they're so good at that area of the game.
Pasha Luxury, I think last year lost from being 4-0 up.
Yeah, that's mad.
So they will look to have learned from that. And I think that might have been against the eventual winners.
What's interesting there as well is you've got this. I think we've got a nice balance in our squad in terms of people that have been there before, not just in our team, but in other teams. We've got experience, old heads that can just calm things down. We've got small-sided guys that have real opinion on how to win these games. And we've got people that know hashtag, that have been part of our club for a number of years and want to represent us. We've obviously got the incentive for everyone of winning, because obviously $1 million, we will, share that with the players and people that go out there if we win it. So it's a win-win for everyone. I think we're in a good shape. I think there's a lot of unknowns, because a lot of these players we're taking on very good recommendations and reputation, but we don't know a lot about some of them. It is. I'm more than happy to admit it is the world's zigged and we had to zag. Like, it wasn't our strategy beginning. I've talked about that with the Baller League thing, but I actually think it's a really nice solution. These guys we're taking, they know each other. There's that kind of almost pick and drop group that we're taking from the continent. And it is also a little bit of a USP. These guys weren't necessarily on other people's radar because of where they're from and what they're doing. And a lot of these guys are focusing on ex-pros or US people. So we've got our team, we're sticking with it, and we're committing, and we're going deep. That is the plan. I'm never going to sit here and say we're going to win the $1 million guarantee, because no one can say that. Unless you're Ange Postecoglou and you say, I always win TST on my third attempt, mate. Unless you're going to do that, which I'm not quite prepared to do. But we're going to give it a good go, and we're going to take you along for the ride. So I'm really, really excited. Massive thanks to TST again for the opportunity to come out there. We love that tournament. We think it's wicked. Big thanks to Monster Energy for backing us as a club, but also helping us bring in the likes of Alexis and helping us generally, kind of expand our TST experience. Big thanks to the likes of Demar. Cookie's been really useful behind the scenes and putting it together. And let's go get it, baby. Let's do it. $1 million plus the investment raised. This could be a very good summer for the tags. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. Any questions about TST in general, leave them down there. You might have some questions about next season, 11 aside. Obviously, we talked a lot about sack situation and things. We're, of course, going to do our update video, which is one of the highlights of everyone's summers. It's coming up in probably a few months when we get to the back end of pre-season. That will come. Hold your horses, all right? We'll see you on the next one. Don't go changing. Up the tags.